Alrighty, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome. We're so happy that you could join us today for our culturally based fraternity and sorority live Q&A session. My name is Stephanie, and I am the president of the Multicultural Greek Council. In this live Q&A, Trenton and I will be giving some background information about culturally based fraternities and sororities at OSU, how you can join an organization, cover frequently asked questions, and of course, answer your specific questions. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Trenton.
How you doing? My name is Trenton Joyner, and I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and I'm serving as a representative for the National Pan-Hellenic Council. As we continue through our time together, please keep in mind that the COVID-19 global pandemic can possibly affect some dates and future event formats. So for more information about our remote operations and how our community operations have been impacted by the pandemic, please visit the website oregonstate.edu/CFSL.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelsey Elam Guiding, and I serve as the coordinator in the Center for Fraternity and Sorority Life. I'm one of 3 full-time staff members that's here to support this amazing community, and we're joined tonight by our director, Leslie. I'm going to let her say hello really quickly.
Thanks, Kelsey, and thanks so much, Steph and Trenton, for having me. I'm Leslie Chatre. I'm the Associate Dean of Students and Director of the Center for Fraternity and Sorority Life. I am delighted that you've chosen to check out our culturally based fraternities and sororities, which are a rich part of our fraternity and sorority experience at OSU. We do have a 3rd staff member, our Associate Director, JP Peters, who is our MGC and NPHC advisor, and I do want to highlight that he's on our team as well. So I'll turn it back over to Kelsey.
Thanks so much. So as we go through the presentation tonight, Stephanie and Trenton are going to share how you can join and all sorts of great information about MGC and NPHC organizations. And at the end, we'll take any questions that you have. So you'll see on your screen a Q&A feature. You can go ahead and type any questions that you have into there as they come to mind, or you can wait to the end, and Leslie and I will be monitoring that Q&A, and then we'll moderate the section at the end so that Stephanie and Trenton can answer your questions. If you have any trouble with Zoom or something, feel free to pop that in the chat, and Leslie and I can help you, but be sure to put your questions in the Q&A so that we can get those answered for you at the end of this session. But right now I'm going to turn it back over to Stephanie and Trenton to take it away.
Cool, thank you. So to begin, I'll provide a brief overview of the National Pan-Hellenic Council. Also known as the Divine Nine, the National Pan-Hellenic Council encompasses historically Black fraternities and sororities. NPHC fraternities and sororities were first founded mostly in the early 1900s during a period of racial inequality when Black people were not allowed to be a part of IFC or PHC organizations. And so the first NPHC chapter at Oregon State was Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. We currently have 3 NPHC chapters that have undergraduate members in them right now. There are 2 fraternities, Phi Beta Sigma and Kappa Alpha Psi, and 1 sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. There are 5 additional chapters that have charters at Oregon State University, but they just don't currently have undergraduate members. There are still opportunities to join these inactive chapters. And so if you have questions about how to do that, you can refer to some of the information on our CFSL website. None of the NPHC organizations or chapters at Oregon State have houses, but they often meet in the Lonnie B. Harris Black Cultural Center. A fun fact about the Black Cultural Center on campus is that Lonnie B. Harris was actually a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, and he was one of the members that brought that chapter to Oregon State. Chapter sizes for NPHC chapters are typically a bit smaller, but chapters are always eager to grow, and they're always very active on campus and in the community. And it's not, you don't have to be Black to join NPHC organizations. Our chapters are all inclusive, and they're welcoming to anyone of any background.
Great, thank you, Trenton. So the Multicultural Greek Council is the governing council for multicultural and culturally based fraternities and sororities, which include Latinx, Asian interest, and Native American-based chapters. Multicultural Greek organizations first arose in the 1980s and 1990s when immigration rates and the number of students of diverse backgrounds enrolled in university increased nationwide. And the first MGC group at OSU is actually Gamma Alpha Omega sorority. And currently our council consists of 3 MGC sororities, which are Alpha Pi Omega, a Native American-based chapter, Gamma Alpha Omega, a Latina-founded chapter, and Kappa Delta Chi, a Latina-founded chapter. We also have 3 MGC fraternities, which are Sigma Beta Rho, a South Asian interest chapter, Omega Delta Phi, a Latino-founded chapter, and new to campus this fall is Lambda Phi Epsilon, which is an Asian interest chapter. And if you're interested in becoming a founding father of Lambda Phi Epsilon, please feel free to contact the CFSL or anyone else who's on the panel today. And like NPHC, chapters are typically smaller, but we always look to grow and have new members. And none of the multicultural groups have chapter houses, but we often meet at one of our cultural and resource centers on campus, such as the Native American Longhouse, the Asian and Pacific Cultural Center, and many more. And our council has a strong connection to social justice principles, so you don't have to identify as a member of a certain cultural group to join one of our chapters. All are welcome and encouraged to explore all that we have to offer. And then, of course, NPHC and MGC are just 2 of 5 governing councils or communities within our fraternity and sorority life. And if you don't find what you're looking for in a culturally based group, there is plenty more to explore. And so I'm going to highlight the rest of our councils right now. So we have the Collective Greek Council, or CGC, which are academic interest sororities. They used to have fraternities, and sometimes during other periods, we have both. But currently only have sororities, and they have a close affiliation with academic colleges or individual majors. They have 4 sororities currently, one of each with agricultural focus, science interest, engineering focus, and design interest. And then we also have the Interfraternity Council, or IFC, which is the governing council for 23 fraternities. And they generally have house chapters, but we do have some IFC chapters that do not have chapter facilities. So if you are looking for something in-house, there are some chapters within the IFC community that do not also have chapter facilities. And then lastly is the Pan-Hellenic Council, or PHC, which is the governing council for OSU's 11 house sororities. And of course, if you're interested in exploring more, you can learn more about each council and their chapters on the CFSL website. So I'm going to turn it back over to Trenton to give some details regarding the joining process.
Cool. Thank you, Stephanie. Becoming involved and joining one of our Multicultural Greek Council or National Pan-Hellenic Council chapters is slightly different, and it occurs through a different process called membership intake. If you are interested in joining an MGC or MPHC sorority or fraternity at Oregon State, the best way to get involved would be to attend as many council-sponsored programs as you can.
Definitely, and don't be a stranger. Each individual MGC and NPHC organization hosts various programs and activities on campus throughout the year. And by attending these programs and activities, you can introduce yourself to members of a fraternity or a sorority that you're interested in, and you can let them know that you'd like to learn more about their organization.
Another great way to learn more about MGC and MPHC organizations is to consult the internet. There's a wealth of knowledge on the internet about all the fraternities and sororities, and all of our MGC and MPHC organizations have national websites. So you can go to the national website and learn just a ton of information about each organization individually, as well as the councils as a whole.
Yeah, and each chapter will hold their own membership intake process. And as a general rule, several MGC and NPHC organizations do not accept students who don't have an established GPA. So it really is always best to check with the individual chapter that you're interested in about their own intake process and their joining requirements.
So as we're talking about all of these ways to get involved and to show interest, the MPHC would like to invite you all to attend the MPHC Informational and Trivia Night on September 29th at 7 p.m. in Memorial Union 109. This is a free program, and is an opportunity for you to hear about each MPHC fraternity and sorority, as well as just ask questions about the individual chapters. And you can RSVP to attend this event on our website, the CFSO website.
MGC will also be holding a recruitment event, which will be our meet and greet on September 23rd. That'll be at 6 p.m. and that'll be on the Weatherford lawn, or just kind of behind Weatherford. And you can meet members of MGC chapters and learn more about joining. And so we can't wait to meet you, and be sure to RSVP on our website.
Right. So now that we've kind of let you know what our groups are and how you can show interest and ultimately join them, we want to share some things that sort of make the cultural based Greek experience a little bit different and unique. Many of the traditions that both MGC and MPHC share stem from MPHC history and culture. And one way that we kind of show pride in our organizations is to throw up our hand signs and use specific poses that are distinct to our groups. We have chants and calls as well that allow us to kind of show our pride and our presence when it comes to different events that we have going on. So.
Yeah, and some other traditions would include like line names or nicknames. So the term line or line is a term that refers to a new member class that joins or crosses. And there's a lot of different verbiage that we use. So crosses is when a line or a member would join during a specific term. So members of a line may receive a line number or a line name that defines them as a sister or brother of that organization. So for example, I am Perenne IATK number 1, and this information and the chapter's letters can be displayed on member jackets.
Another aspect of our culture comes from stepping and strolling. So stepping is a historical tradition where members sort of use their bodies as instruments to create beats, stomping, clapping, jumping, chanting, all different kind of things. Strolling is a synchronized dance that's typically done in a line in unison with other members. Multicultural Greeks have been known to take part in both stepping and strolling, but they predominantly stroll to show the respect and honor to the MPHC organizations that paved the way for the MGC groups to exist. So members step and stroll at different events, including new member presentations, yard shows, stroll competitions, other celebrations, and simply just at any time, just to show their pride and their excitement.
Right, so now that you've heard what makes a culturally based Greek experience so different and unique, let's get into some questions. So we just kind of pulled some questions that we've had in the past, or we had when we were joining. And if you have any questions that are in your brain right now, you can feel free to start sending them to us, and we'll collect them and answer them in a second. But we're just going to kind of go over some of the ones that we get most often. So to start, one that we receive is, why did you join an NPHC or an MGC group? And I'll just share my own personal experience. So I'm a transfer student, and I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And when I got here, I didn't feel like I connected or really knew what I was doing on campus. I became really interested in joining a sorority, and I was actually able to explore chapters in each of the councils. And it wasn't really until I learned about MGC and MGC chapters, or in general, multicultural groups, that I kind of found a space where I'm comfortable with my cultural identity. And I met people who had the same goals and aspirations as myself. And so something that really drew me in about culturally based groups were that they were very dedicated to service and social justice. Giving back to my community and fighting injustices is something that I'm really passionate about. And joining an MGC group just through that has helped me become more active in those as well, and give me a platform and a community to be able to speak to different people about issues and work with them to create change. So for me, joining MGC group really elevated my college career, and has given me a home away from home, being how many thousand miles away.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of a similar journey. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, and so coming to Oregon, just in Oregon State itself, was very different for me. And so it was very important that I found a home within the Black community at Oregon State, especially being in a new place, understanding that it wasn't very big. And so in that community, I kind of met people that, made me feel at home, made me feel like I belonged. And one of those people that sort of took me under their wing when I got to school was a member of my organization of Phi Beta Sigma. And so just understanding, who he was, and learning more about the organization. I already had knowledge about MPHC just because of where I came from, or understanding the rich history that these organizations represented, understanding the work that they do in their communities, understanding the emphasis on leadership and academic excellence, and just being, just being leaders within the community and giving back to the community was something that appealed to me. It's something that I felt gave me the opportunity to be a part of something that was larger than myself. At the time when I got to campus, we didn't have a chapter on campus. So being part of bringing a chapter to my campus, being sort of, that's a historical feat. And so being a part of that really, went a long way to encourage me to take part. So really just seeing the benefits of being able to, give back and be a part of something larger than myself and represent something that meant something to me and push along a cause I believed in was something that went a long way in my understanding or my decision to join, as well as just the culture was just great. And I had a ton of fun and I knew I would, so it was great.
Great, thank you for sharing, Trenton. Just kind of moving on, another question we get are, what are some benefits of joining? So some benefits of joining are, like Trenton said, leadership opportunities, of course, academic support that you get from your brothers and sisters, and other members of the community, as well as focus on community service or philanthropy. Another part is social connection, which is a really big part of the experience. Like I said, meeting other people and connecting and working on something larger than yourself. So, students who feel connected to other students are more likely to persist at university and remain through graduation.
Yeah, I would agree. You hit all of the big things on the head. It's an opportunity to surround yourself with people that will make you better in every sense of the word, and people that, really care about you. Iron sharpens iron. Another really big benefit of joining is that you become part of a national and oftentimes international network of people that will stand up for you, that will take care of you. There's a national family of people that, are united by their letters. I could fly to any place in the country and many places across the world. And if I made some phone calls ahead of time, there would be someone there who would, take me in and take care of me and watch over me, give me a place to stay and food to eat, that never met me, but they know, what I represent because of the letters I have on. I think that's a huge benefit. And just the network building opportunities professionally and in any way you can name is great.
Yeah, thank you for adding that, Trenton, especially since I guess a lot of people have this idea that, joining a sorority or fraternity is maybe only a college affair. But really, when you're joining one of these organizations, it's a lifelong commitment, or you become a brother or sister of this organization for life. And you see members who, like Trent was saying, they're in different professions, they live around the world, and they really do like to be active and continuing to support their collegiate chapters. So I think that that's also something that was really important about MGC and PHC groups, is that their alumni are very, very involved. And yeah, that just kind of aspect of taking care, wanting to still be active, is something that I really find endearing. And I can't wait till I graduate. I know it kind of sounds like bad, but I can't wait till I graduate so that I can also become an alum that looks after other chapters and helps my sisters when I'm also out of school.
Right, exactly. So another frequently asked question we get is, how much does it cost? Which is a very important question. The cost to join MPHC organizations varies from an organization to organization. And oftentimes these fees are subject to change at any time. They don't often change, but it's possible. Because these organizations exist under a national umbrella, each chapter, there is a significant portion of those funds that go towards the national organization. They go towards things like, required conferences and conventions, local chapter dues, and just various items that are also needed for the membership intake process. And so the average range to join an MPHC organization is anywhere between $1,000 to $3,000, depending on the group. But it's important to understand, where your interests lie, and understanding what those specific numbers are and how to create a plan to get there.
Right, and similar to NPHC, MGC chapters typically have an initiation cost that also goes to the various expenses that Trent had listed earlier. And then after that, we have activation or annual dues, which can range from about $200 to $300, which is about maybe like $100 per term for MGC groups. So the next question we kind of get is, how do I show interest? So in addition to attending council and chapter program events, community service projects or programs, most of our groups will host informationals or interest meetings that will allow you to gain more information about their organizations and their chapter. And you can express interest in their fraternity or sorority at those times. And if a particular group you are interested in, you can get in contact with them through email or social media. I think that's kind of the first way to kind of make that connection and start meeting more members of the chapter. Like I said earlier, it's going to be a lifelong commitment. So it's really important that, you feel very comfortable with the people who you're interested in joining and becoming their brother or sister for a lifetime. So you can find all of our chapter profiles and contact information of each of the groups that maybe you might be interested in on the CFSL website. And like I said, again, I encourage you to explore as many groups and meet as many members as you can. Like I said, just because you're going to spend a whole lifetime with them, hopefully, and find a place where you can call your forever home, like I did and Trent and I did, and everyone else who has joined our great community so far. But yeah, I definitely recommend definitely attending those and kind of breaking the ice. I know it's really hard, but from my experience, the community has just been nothing but warm and welcoming, and they just want to make sure that you find a place where you can be happy and finish out your college career onto whatever you may tackle in the future.
Yeah, I would definitely 100% agree. The most important thing when you're trying to show interest is building sincere, genuine relationships. You want to get to know people for who they are. Even if, you might have interest in their organization, you want to get to know them first. That's kind of the basis of, the love, the brotherhood and sisterhood that we hold paramount is the personal relationships that we have. And you want to show that you're a part of, these community service projects or different programs that they're doing on campus, because you want to do things, you want to make sure that there are things that appeal to you and things that you want to do, because if you have interest, you want to eventually be the person doing those things. And so taking part of them shows to yourself and to the organization members that, this is something that I enjoy. I enjoy the specific community service they do. I enjoy the specific programs on campus that they do. I enjoy the fun aspects of their organization. You want to know all these things as a means to show interest. So those personal relationships are huge. So I believe now we're going to take the opportunity to answer some of the questions that we've been asked.
Yeah, so I have some questions here for the two of you. So first off, when is the latest you can RSVP for either of your council's fall events, and do they cost any money to attend or participate? That's for either of you. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and answer first. Yeah, you can RSVP up to the date. There is really no deadline. We just want to be able to know how many people are coming and kind of keep that account. Again, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so we want to be very conscious of our numbers and keeping people safe as we continue the recruitment process. And it's free, of course. We just want to be able to meet you, have you meet us, and hopefully create those bonds which last a lifetime.
Right. I'm not sure if Stephanie said it, but the events are free to participate in. So there's no cost to come. Just come and hang out and enjoy yourself and learn something and meet some people.
Yeah, if you are at all interested in either of these councils, I would recommend just filling out those RSVP forms now, just a Google form with asking for your name and some contact information. So that way you can start to receive information from the council and any updates that might happen given the uncertainty for this fall. So you'll be the first to know if you sign up for those RSVP forms. It's just an interest form. There's no nothing that's binding you to anything by filling out that form. Great question. All right, here's some more. What are some typical events that your organizations and councils host throughout the year? What do people have to look forward to?
Yeah, I can go first. There's a wide range, and it depends sort of. We do council events. So for the MPHC, we do full MPHC events, as well as each individual organization does their own events. So in the MPHC, we've had all kind of stuff. We've had like barbecues that we've thrown. We've had some academic events, like bowling nights that we've hosted. I think the MPHC and the MGC host like co-host bowling nights a couple times too. So we've had opportunities to, we've done community service. So we've gone out and put together like sandwich bags and given them out to people that are suffering from homelessness. We've, worked in gardens and all kind of stuff. And then my organization in particular, we do a wide range of things, from community service to such as, raising money for, American Cancer Society, March of Dimes. We have an event every year where we collect supplies and food and things for people suffering from homelessness, as well as, things that are more fun, game nights and, we have academic focused events as well. We host a regular study hall for people to come and study. The MPHC has had, a couple of get-togethers, parties, things of that nature. So there's a wide range of things that everybody does.
Yeah, there's not much to add on to that because NPC and MDC, they do similar things. And we do a lot of things together as well. Like Trent was saying, bowling night or game night. We are very close in the community. Our chapters are a lot smaller and we're able to meet a lot more people and kind of build those bonds in a really intimate and, thoughtful, meaningful way when we're a little bit smaller. But MGC does very similar things, trying to do service. We usually have maybe a community dinner where we invite all members from our council to just come grab food and maybe just listen to some information that we have or any updates. They kind of do things informally or have a neo night, which is kind of something we do annually, which is a way to connect new members who join throughout the year. They might join in the fall, spring, or winter term. And we just want to be able to kind of make sure that we're still a close community and we all kind of know who we are, who each other in our orgs are. So we don't really get too distant. We have that time to bond and really learn about each other. And I definitely just agree that Trenton pretty much hit the nail on the head. My org does many similar things, sort of like philanthropy, and game nights again, are just ways for our community to get together. I know our community, or my chapter does like Loteria night a lot, and as well as focusing on our philanthropy, we often do campus-wide testing. So we have for our philanthropy of HIV and AIDS awareness. So we host several days out of the year to offer free testing, as well as to give sort of little helpful health bags for people. And I think, again, we're just very dedicated to giving back to the community. So a lot of our events do focus on community things or being a part of a community and inviting a lot of people to our events.
Awesome, thanks so much. And from my understanding, when events are open to non-members, y'all post those on your social media and it's very clear that they're invited. So if you're interested in a chapter, be sure to follow that chapter's social media to look out for events where you can meet members and build those connections like Trenton was talking about earlier. Awesome, thanks for sharing. And then can you, both of you or whoever wants to go, explain how MGC and NPHC organizations are different than other culturally based groups on campus like Black Student Union or MECHA?
You can go first, Stephanie.
Yeah, again, it's a sisterhood or a brotherhood. It's something just kind of the next step, like towards, this lifelong bond. Yes, we do maybe similar things like giving back to the community and working together as groups. But it is, to me, like that really strong connection of sisterhood that kind of takes it beyond that, where I know that the people who I'm surrounded with are going to take care of me and support me and accept me for who I am, regardless of where I came from or what I'm doing. Even if maybe I'm struggling, that they'll always kind of be there for me. Trent, I don't know if you want to continue with that as well.
Yeah, I think we both had experience within, our Greek organizations, and we're also very involved in other organizations and clubs on campus that Kelsey's talking about. So we exist in both those worlds seamlessly. And being Greek is just different. There's a different level of intimacy. There's a different level of commitment, but there's also a different level of exactly what you're talking about, the brotherhood and sisterhood, the meaningfulness of what you get and sort of what you represent, and a larger network that you're a part of in a vastly different way than like a student union of some sort, or a club that's, focused on your major or something like that. It's just you exist in a different space and you represent something that's a bit larger and a bit more meaningful. It holds a lot of history. And so it's just a different vibe. I don't know a better way to put it than that. It means something different than, being a part of a BSU or being a part of, some similar club. It's not a club at all.
Awesome. Thank you for those responses. Those were great. And to wrap us up for tonight, I got a fun question here from the audience of just tell us one favorite memory from being a part of your chapter. I know it's a good one. It's hard to pick, right? So whoever can think of one first, go right ahead.
I can think of one. I remember after when I joined, after I crossed, we have what's called a probate, and that's a way of sort of presenting new members to the general populace, to the world, basically. And so it was a great time. There's a lot of people out there. We just had a good time. I had members of my organization that came down from like Portland to show up and support, and we just all went and we had a good time during the probate and then afterwards. It's a celebration, so we were celebrating that whole night, just enjoying just the growth of our brotherhood. And this is typical MPHC, and I'm sure MGC fashion. Literally, that was on a Friday. Literally the next day, that Saturday, we had to be up in Portland for March for the Babies, which is an annual volunteer fundraising march that March of Dimes does. So we had a good time, stayed up all night partying, and then we had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning the next morning, and I had to drive all the way from Corvallis to Portland. And we did the walk and ate and everything and ended up coming back. So it was a fun memory for me because we're kind of all in it together, and it was really like a welcome to how this works kind of thing. So it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it is really so hard to pick just from all the things that we've done, or I've done with my sisters and with the community. But I think my favorite experience was NPHC had held a showcase for culturally based Greeks, and that was my first time strolling. And strolling is also something that really hooked me when I saw it. I thought it's so cool and awesome, and I just really love watching other people stroll as well, and just present and be proud of their orgs. So I think that was probably my favorite moment, because I was actually leading the line for one of them, and it was so nerve-wracking because it was my first time strolling, and it was in a community where I didn't really show off any strolling yet, or I just kind of learned to myself or learned with my sisters and strolled with them just when a song would come on here and there. But this is my first time just kind of presenting or just performing in front of other people, and that was just terrifying, but one of my favorite experiences and memories. And then kind of just led into the stroll competition that we held last year for Greek Week, where I did more of the organizing of it, and that was also stressful. But when it came to me performing in it, the stress kind of went away, and I had a really great time. For me, I think strolling is, and just watching other people stroll, and just being in a room full of people who are just strolling or doing their own thing and having a great time is kind of an energy that's unmatchable or uncomparable to other things I've experienced in any other community.
Can I add an extra one?
Oh, go ahead, Trenton. I was going to say, I'm just reveling in your memories here. They're great.
Yeah, super fun. I love it. I remember we had a regional conference. So Regions typically made of several states, and so all of the members of one organization from these specific regions will come together for a conference where they meet and, handle business and do different things. And we had a regional conference in Arizona, in Tucson, and I had never been to Arizona before. That whole area of the United States I hadn't really been a part of, and so we went down there, and just being with brothers from Arizona, brothers from across our region, from California, Washington, Nevada, Colorado, all different places, and we all just kind of hang out, enjoy each other's company, have a good time. We handled the business that we had to handle, but just being able to be in their presence and build new relationships, and going back to where we were going back, saying, oh, I can't wait to go to this place because I'll have somebody to see, and oh, we're having this on so and so date, y'all should make that drive to come down there, and all these different kind of things. It was just, I've done that a couple times now, and that's just always really exciting, is to be able to go places and meet people that maybe you might have never heard of, or maybe you've seen them on like Instagram or something like that. It's just really fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing. That wraps up our questions from participants for the session. So I'm going to turn it back over to you all to wrap us up.
Great, thank you so much, Kelsey, and thank you all for your questions. We're so glad that we could answer some, and if you have any more, feel free to come by our virtual office hours via Zoom, and there's more information that can be found, again, on our website to access those Zoom hours, kind of see more information if you're interested in researching more. And so I'll just pause for a moment and put up some of the information. So please feel free to reach out to us for any questions about recruitment or the Cultural Greek experience. Stay updated on our communities by following our Instagram accounts. So NPHCs would be at OSU NPHC, and for MGC it's at Oregon State MGC. We mostly post a lot. I know a lot of information kind of goes through there. So if you really want to keep up, that's probably the best way to get a hold or just kind of ask questions, as well as to follow our other chapters or our chapters within our councils. They're all tagged there as well. And again, I really appreciate y'all for coming. I had a great time, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. So go Beavs, go Greek.